The Texas Chainsaw Massacre's infamous opening line wasn't just a gimmick. For Tobe Hooper, it was a direct response to a time defined by lies, violence, and a nation in decline. Reflecting on the era, Hooper said, "Man was the real monster here, just wearing a different face, so I put a literal mask on the monster in my film." The Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't just terrifying on screen, it was a nightmare behind the scenes too. The production is legendary for how miserable it was. No air conditioning, scorching hot temperatures, rotting meat, and real injuries. Daily highs hovered around 100 degrees, but inside the house, with all the windows blacked out, film lights blaring, no air conditioning, and zero ventilation, temperatures soared to well over 110 degrees. The cast wore the same clothes for weeks, sweating through the brutal Texas heat, sometimes doing dozens of takes. The scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that captures all this suffering best is the iconic dinner table scene. On screen, it's chaotic, loud, and claustrophobic, but behind the scenes, it was hell. The infamous dinner table scene comes near the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre after protagonist Sally has been captured by the cannibalistic Sawyer family. Bound and broken, she's forced to sit through a grotesque family dinner surrounded by madness, mocked by laughter, and ultimately offered up as prey. The cast and crew were trapped in that tiny room filming this scene for 27 straight hours. The windows were sealed to maintain lighting continuity so there was no fresh air. The set was decorated with real animal bones, decaying meat, and food that had been sitting out for days, all of it baking under hot lights. The stench was so unbearable that several people threw up and one crew member even passed out. Gunnar Hansen, in full Leatherface costume, couldn't even see properly through his mask, and worse, he only had one mask for the entire shoot. He wore the same sweat-soaked latex for nearly 4 weeks straight in the blistering heat, and by the end, it reeked so badly that no one wanted to stand near him. His costume was never washed, and like everything else on set, it just kept getting more disgusting as the days dragged on. Marilyn Burns, tied to her chair during the dinner scene, was genuinely terrified and physically exhausted. By this point in the shoot, she'd already suffered bruises, cuts, and a mental breakdown from the relentless screaming, chaos, and stress. The madness you see in that scene, it wasn't just acting. It was real. And that's what makes it one of the most disturbing and unforgettable scenes in horror history. Not only do the performances have a raw, almost uncomfortable, real feel to them, but so does the look of the film itself. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre owes much of its raw, unsettling look to the film stock and process used during production. It was shot on 16mm using Kodak Ektachrome 7252, a reversal film stock typically used in documentaries. Unlike negative film, reversal film creates a direct positive image, which shortened the post-production process by eliminating the need to print onto another film stock. This choice wasn't just stylistic, it was also budget-driven. The high contrast, saturated look of the stock gave the film a gritty, almost hyper-real texture. After editing, the footage was blown up to 35mm for a theatrical release, a process that added even more grain and contrast. The result was a harsh, grimy aesthetic that perfectly matched the film's brutal tone and sun-bleached Texas setting. Nearly 5 decades later, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre hasn't lost an ounce of its power. In fact, it may even be more disturbing today, because nothing about it feels dated or distant. Its documentary-style visuals, unpolished performances, and chaotic energy still hit like a punch to the gut. It's raw, relentless, and ugly in a way most horror films wouldn't dare to be. What began as a low-budget regional production has become one of the most influential horror films ever made, copied endlessly but never truly matched. And maybe that's because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't just scare you, it sticks with you. It leaves you feeling like you've witnessed something real, something wrong, or something that maybe you weren't supposed to see.